Checking the sound to make sure that it works.
Although, excuse me, I take that back. It's usually at a fire that they want to shoot at a fire. So
that's what you actually do.
yeah. That sport started in
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I mean, luckily they've got insurance, most likely on houses of that size.
houses like that.
Yeah.
Those are just
But just one.
yeah,
20 years. The whole place, boom, gone.
all in the same small.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I see that in that kind of isolated area, and you can't get down there fast enough, and the wind is moving faster than you are. and
Get out.
So where's the?
Two streets at the end of that.
That's it, just about there, there's one way, no way. That's like.
You get caught up on the water there, you just don't like around that one and stuff. You can't get out.
There's fire getting out one.
Yeah, you better run.
Yeah, you better get ahead of that fire. On foot. And hope it doesn't catch it. Because you're not getting run by car. That is my. People think, oh, you should be able to stop it. There's no way to stop it. The line's very big. So when you.
Well, that's a couple things.
So I don't know what
I gotta do the other one.
isn't showing on which
It has energy.
what did you say? Sunburn? What you saying?
I was waiting on the trail today.
Yeah.
It's our place.
You know, with that trail, but I looked at lights and scooters that should probably be there and walking on, but I just want to down yellow.
I know, get over the road.
Get over the road. I'm not gonna walk farther.
No.
Of the berry bushes and stuff.
Yeah.
And so I just kept walking, we were just biking around. And he asked the guy in front of me, did you understand this?
The cyclists should do the share like that. So
I'm a little tight. Yeah, you might want to, but
You know, the other, where there's the crosswalk that, Camden, so it's out. So this, that pre-pandemic. It's clear, and you're not supposed to stop, people do it, but you expect. There's I'm coming up on that little crosswalk there. Starting to slow down, so I can do. But apparently, out of nowhere, he just decides to just go ahead and cross the road.
There we are.
I'm blocking up the brakes and everything, and, you know, stop just in time. Stop at, you know, so I turn on the horn.
Oh, okay, okay.
Gets out his water bottle and just starts hosing down my windshield. You're the one with the suicide way.
This guy in a wheelchair. This guy in a wheelchair.
See her over there, or at least
And he must sleep in the park, and I see him in the park if I walk the dog up here, come back down Winchester. And, the older guy.
I
But
think I've seen her.
somebody contacts us. It's interesting, it's right there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, I know who you're talking about.
Like 6 cars backed up. Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's like a wheelchair.
Yeah, you go tooling down the middle of Winchester
Yes.
over by, Safeway.
Yeah.
Between the Safeway
I like
and,
that.
But the problem is when this records, it's hard to see.
Really? There was there.
How's the thing, you still doing that? So what are you doing now?
Just today, I got a customer wake up, you know, start operations today.
What's that?
They called to tell me that they want me to remove all my equipment,
Yeah, well, it's good, we're just talking to the person.
because they have people in there. I'm like, oh, yeah, it's okay, you're for like 2 years. I'm like, sorry, now you're saying because you only got 20% of your staff, you want me to take out all my equipment.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But yeah, I kind of transitioned it into services for other vendor developers. So I'm moving equipment, repairing equipment. It's just, it's the certain what happened
As long
was,
as you're not doing anything.
oh God. So, but, no, and then actually, I transfer, yeah, stuff, part of the stuff, that's actually, so right, it's your options. It's not like
Good.
So. So,
That's good. How about Tiger? She's good.
Audrey will be over there.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah.
But you
Yeah,
don't see
maybe
that.
6 weeks.
He was doing consulting for the city for a while. And yeah, now he freelances kind of wherever. Yeah, but lately, it's like this, his daughter or son-in-law is staying with him. They left. So. I guess, fair enough.
Yeah, most of that. Yeah. Okay, you guys go back here.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Oh,
Oh,
no, we'll eavesdrop.
My husband's sick, so you know, the world's about to end, so.
Hey, Brad, how you doing?
Hey, guys, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's not almost that.
Trying to get everything in.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Yeah.
How you doing? Good. All right. Get everything.
Trying to make sure.
That's my copy that I make notes on, so.
Oh, here,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I just wanted you to have. I just. Files and that shit.
Yeah.
Like,
I saw that, so no, so.
I'm still trying to operate the dial on the phone.
Did you? Is that?
They got 4 so far, so that's.
Basically. I just do it, you know, this easy.
Forward to the end of the school year.
Yeah, it's a little crazy right now.
Yeah. I can only imagine.
It's nuts. I'm just like, oh my gosh. But we'll get there, right?
Yes,
Hopefully.
allegedly. Just found out that my daughter's kindergarten teacher, I mean, she's in third now. Kindergarten. Yes, oh, that's right. You
Yeah,
got
yeah.
your- Yeah,
That's
she got
what my
teacher of the year.
Yeah.
I'm so
I
happy.
know, she's retiring.
That's what I
Yeah, they usually
suspected.
give it to like,
Yeah.
well, you know, I mean, she's been great, but tonight she gets something, right? Or
It's something like that, yeah. I think she had been thinking of retiring before CSI.
Oh, really?
And
She's
then-
in, like, she's moving to Texas
Yeah, the daughter.
with her
yeah.
daughter, and then I think both two daughters live there.
I don't, yeah.
One just got engaged and one's married. One's got engaged, and one's married, so she's like, they sold her house. They can stay until July. And then, yeah, so she's excited. Yeah. And I guess her husband will still work, but he'll be like, virtual. Yeah. I know, I saw it today with the emails.
Yeah. But yeah, she said that. When we started-
Yeah,
she's like,
Yeah. Because I go about things.
Oh.
Yeah, she's been great.
Zero.
So now I was like, oh, that oh my gosh, so last week I was like, oh my god, why does this? Because it was like crazy, and so much stuff. But you know, it's worth it. You know, like.
Yeah.
Did you go to the? It was so much fun, huh? I volunteered it, and I ended up on the course for like games.
Oh, really?
Like, oh my, it was like a cornhole, like, I was like, oh my gosh. It was fun. It was hot, like, I had no, I forgot how hot it was in the summer, it was fun. We had a good time.
The only other, like, we don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now it was, yeah, I think they're projected to be like 650 next year.
That's bad for tax.
We're at like 550, I'm like, that's 14. Yeah, as long as
Yeah.
Like classes.
Yeah.
We're all set. I think the technology's all working.
Don't jinx it.
I was phone just to make sure it's all working.
Oh, I don't.
Yeah.
I didn't bring my glasses.
So I designed.
No, let's think of 24th first.
Yeah.
And this is the, oh, do you want to speak?
The paper cards were due 30 seconds ago. No, I'm joking. I'm just messing with you. I hope you know.
Yeah, we don't need to speak.
You don't have to. You're welcome to, but you're. I think their recommendations to support the request, so unless the request has changed. but-
No, it's all right there. National night out.
Yeah.
I get
And we didn't have time to post the location.
Oh, we should say.
Yeah.
When I introduce it, I'll let them know that there's members here from the neighborhood association support it, so that you're obviously here, so you
There's
care. It's not that you don't care, you're here.
There's two things that aren't in there that we have is insurance and post office box too, but that's no big
As long
deal.
as we have it, you're fine.
Yeah,
I'm not-
yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Just double.
Good evening, everyone. This special meeting will be conducted in person as well as telecommunication and is compliant with provisions of the Brown Act. Those members of the public wishing to participate virtually can access the meeting via Zoom. Members of the public may attend this meeting in person at Campbell City Hall. Welcome, members of the public who are here right now. This is most we've ever had in many months, so exciting to see you all. So welcome, and I call this meeting into order at 7:32.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Naylor? Commissioner Malcolm? Vice Chair Brocker?
Here.
Commissioner Dooley? Commissioner Yoshikawa? Commissioner Kaufman? And Chairperson Fields.
Here. Do we have any announcements? Looks like no announcements. Could I have a motion after review of the regular and study session minutes from our March 10th session?
I'll move, we approve the regular meeting or do we have to do them separately or can we do them together? So, okay, I'll move, we approve the meeting minutes for our regular meeting on March 10th, 2020.
Okay, I'll do a roll call. Commissioner Naylor? Commissioner Malcolm? Vice Chair Brocker?
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley? Commissioner Yoshikawa? Commissioner Kaufman? And Chairperson Fields.
Aye. There he is. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes of the study session from our March 10th meeting?
I move to approve the study session minutes from our March 10th, 2022 meeting.
Commissioner Naylor? Commissioner Malcolm? Vice Chair Brocker?
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley? Commissioner Yoshikawa? Commissioner Kaufman? And
I was not present, so.
Chairperson Fields.
Aye. Great. Do we have any communications or oral requests? None? Then we will move to reports from representatives. I understand we have a sub for our librarian reports, and I think I heard Steve Fitzgerald. Is that welcome? Thank you for coming.
Okay. First of all, apologies from both Jennifer and Peggy who could not make it this evening. Steve Fitzgerald, Deputy County.
Can you push the button for your, is the
On the
on?
microphone, on the microphone.
Okay, can everybody hear me?
There you go. Thank you.
Sure. So I believe in the packet here, there are some slides that Peggy put together also. Let's turn to that page.
Sure. Okay. So first of all, I just want to make some announcements about May. So it's obviously a very busy time. There are several celebrations going on during this month, including Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month, Mental Health Awareness Month. We have lots of great programs and resources at the library. So we just wanted to remind everyone that they should stop in their local library, Campbell Express Library, and make sure that they find some resources that will assist them in finding more research about those topics. Additionally, we have summer reading starting on June 1st. Please visit our website for more information. We can sign up for a Beanstack account to help you mark your progress through the program. And this year it's called Read Beyond the Beaten Path. And in partnership with that, we have South County Park Day Packs. So with the summer reading program, patrons can get free day use parking passes at the library and use them to visit our state parks. There is, I should mention, a long waiting list at this time. It's been very popular. We are in the process of getting some more passes, and hopefully we'll have those real soon. But we also have some special park related material in our Morgan Hill and Gilroy locations. So if you make your way down south, please be sure to ask staff about that. We have digital coaching classes going on in Milpitas and Gilroy. So this is an opportunity for senior and other patrons to get some assistance with computer use. We do have a variety of languages as well. So it's offered in Spanish and Mandarin, should patrons choose to need assistance in those languages. We have our Cupertino library expansion. Hopefully some of you have seen the progress that they've made on that. Hint, hint, Campbell. We're very excited about some of the progress going on here as well. But Cupertino had an event, I think it was 2 weeks ago. We're very exciting. They have a new program space there, and we couldn't be prouder of how it looks. And hopefully when you find your way in Cupertino, you'll make your way to the library and check that space out. Early May, the first week of May, was National Small Business Week. So we had a series of programs for that, including on May 13th, 17th, and 19th. So if you know anybody looking to start a small business, this would be a great place to start. We also had some virtual town halls recently to aid in our strategic planning process. So hopefully many Campbell members were able to take part in that process. And that's all I have for the county report. And doing part of my double duty here as part of the local Campbell report. Of course, the big excitement is we have in-person programming starting once again. So we're very excited about that. We have weekly story times happening every Wednesday at 10:30. We have ESL Conversation Club, which are programs designed for those wishing to improve their English. They can informally join these classes and just kind of practice speaking. So it's a great resource for them. That's every Monday at 1:30. I've already mentioned the summer reading program, which starts on June 1st. And then finally, we have weekday, Wednesday afternoon school age summer reading program starting on June 8th. So those are some of our larger events, and hopefully a lot of Campbell children will make their way to those programs as well. The next page, we have some new resources that we wanted to call out. So I already mentioned some of the park passes for the California State Library. That was the state park passes that I mentioned. We also have a new resource called Code Combat. So this is a program designed for children ages 7 and up to learn how to code. It's a great resource. They can go at their own pace. It's kind of got like a Minecraft feel to it. So it's very age appropriate and a great way for kids to learn. A lot of fun. Next up, we have some statistics here. So as you can see, we've had some pretty steady checkout and gate count, which is of course the number of visitors, as well as new library cards. So this is at our Campbell Express Library location, which thank you, City. It's a great space. We enjoy immensely working with city staff on creating an environment for Campbell patrons. So thank you for partnering with us on that. And with that, I think I just knocked out 2 presentations in one. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to try to answer.
Well, you had big shoes to fill, but
Yeah.
you did all right.
Just all right. Come
Yeah, I
on.
did. You did great. High standards.
Thank you.
Does anyone on the commission have any questions? Really exciting to hear about the live programming coming back. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
It's great. We couldn't be happier.
Yeah.
Yep.
Questions, comments? Great. Well, very thorough as always and great. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate
I
it.
appreciate it. And I'll stick around if you do have any questions. So,
Thank you.
just turn this off.
So after our report on the library and representatives, next up, we have reports from staff. I will stall slightly for time as we adjust for our technical difficulties, but if we're ready, Brian, to get an update on what's going on in the city of Campbell.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the commission. Right now, it's prime budget season in the city, so everything that we're working on for the most part relates to financial stability and financial planning, both with our budget, but we're also going through labor negotiations right now with 3 out of 4 labor groups that we have. And we are also fastly progressing on Measure O, which has a finance element to it, which is our police and library renovation project that the voters supported with $50 million in bonds. We have progressed past the 65% design level and are fast approaching the 95% design level. And it is just what it sounds like. When I say 95%, that means we're 95% done with the design. And when we get to 100%, we will be looking at bidding those projects. Right now, the bid climate is interesting as we see both labor prices and material prices unstable and increasing in daily. But we also know that interest rates are continuing to rise as inflation looms. So parallel to all of that, we are planning next week to request the council authorize us to go ahead and issue the second series of those bonds. So out of the 50 million that was authorized by the voters, we sold the first series a year and a half ago for 20 million. We're now positioned and we're informed today of our AAA bond rating that we'll be moving to sell those second series hopefully early this summer for the remaining 30 million. The good news in all of that for the voters is that the interest rates that we saw with the first series of bonds and the interest rates we're even seeing now are still below what we projected when we did the estimates for our voter pamphlets and our voter information material. So all of that means not only are we on time, but we truly will be charging the taxpayers less for that 50 million than was originally anticipated, at least at this stage in the game. So that is a very positive progress in the face of the pandemic and the financial recovery that we see ourselves in. And so that was the gist of my report tonight. I wanted to focus on finances because that's everything we're doing. I do know there's a finance item later on this agenda to make a request to the council. And I think that that item on the agenda is timely. If that moves forward, we'd be glad to share that with the council in their budget discussions for next week. So it's perfect timing that you're discussing that this evening.
So what is it, 65% or 95% we're at?
Close to 95 at this point.
Okay, and so, but that's everything. That's the police station and the library.
They're both on different paces, but they're both almost at 90. The library slightly ahead of the PD. The library is pretty much at 95.
Oh, so they're pretty
The
close
PD is
then.
getting close.
Oh, great. Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah,
Good to
they're
hear.
just one's right behind the other.
Okay, okay.
Brian, is there an estimated cost for the overall construction of both projects in connection with Measure O?
Well, yes, the easy answer is 50 million. And you give me 50 million and I'm going to spend 50 million. And guess what it's going to buy? $50 million worth of a building. But it is much more complex than that because there is some other grant funds that we are receiving and city contributions to some of that as well. Really, the way that is allocated is about, just in ballpark numbers, about 25 million in construction costs for the PD, about 20 to 21 million in renovation costs for the library, leaving us about 5+ million unallocated that we can use for either project. We already do have some contingencies and site improvement budgets as part of that as well. So that's kind of how we broke up the 50 million. But in addition to that, we received 3.9 million last fiscal year through our collaboration with our state assembly member. And we got a cutout in the state's budget in times of surplus, and are receiving $3.9 million that we're using really unencumbered without any strings attached for our what's called FF&E, which is a furniture, fixtures, and equipment that Measure O can't fund. And that's a requirement of the bond. So we've got up to $4 million that we're getting from the state to fund what wasn't funded by Measure O.
I was just curious.
Really bringing the total to about 54 million without city contribution.
Gotcha.
Other questions on the city update? Great. Well, we have many things in unfinished business involving some of the folks in the room today. So I will move us to our continuation of the public hearing on our fiscal year 22 Neighborhood Association Assistance Grants. This is a continuation of a study session and a meeting that we had in March where we started talking about these. Given, I mean, probably a question for city staff, given that we have the budget to approve all the requests that we have, and then we did discuss those earlier, are there particular points we should try and hit on today? Yeah, but beyond that part, should we discuss any more? No?
So let me maybe just give you a little lead in that. I think the reason it's before you tonight is one, we kind of set this up as a two-step process. One is to consider the request. We have a study session, kind of talk about the issues. In this particular year, it seems like the commission's recommendation is to fund all of the requests at the amount requested. We normally set this up as a public hearing to allow members of the neighborhood association or others to speak on the request. And I did want to highlight that we do have some members from some of the neighborhood associations I see both online and in the audience, probably because this is important to them and they want to be here. But my suggestion to the commission is you can certainly open up and take comments if you want to. I think the proposal is to support the grant request, so I'll leave that to the public if they want to speak, but I did want to note that they're here. So when you say it was important to them, their presence here reflects that. So I'll leave it to the commission how you want to handle public comments with that.
Well, welcome to comment. Don't feel obligated in that we have, discussed these, but if those who are present or online would like to say anything in support of their applications, we'd welcome that at this time. Yeah.
Might as well.
There's a red button on the microphone.
All right. Barry Shulman, Downtown Campbell Neighborhood Association. And I'm happy you're doing this again this year. We do depend on the grant money for insurance and to cover some of our costs for food at the events, National Night Out and a few others, and our pie giveaway at Thanksgiving. So I'm glad you're back and doing it and glad to be back in person, and thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Now I want pie, unfortunately.
I probably shouldn't say anything since I guess we're okay, but I just wanted to introduce myself just quickly. My name is Mike Cray and I'm a 34-year Campbell resident homeowner, and I'm representing the Moreland West Neighborhood Association, which is kind of the big triangular area bordered by Hamilton Avenue, Campbell Avenue, and San Tomas Aquino. If you can picture that. And if you know our boundaries, it gets kind of sketchy there. So we're about 50-50 San Jose and Campbell. And we also do go to San Jose, and they have helped us out. And we are relatively small organization, but we have constituted ourselves in 2019, and we have been doing a lot of stuff and really, appreciate all that Campbell helps us. And I want to say, I guess the only reason I'm up here, I guess I'll say this, I was at your last meeting via Zoom and we had technical problems, so we couldn't speak.
Right.
And there were two representatives from two of the other neighborhood associations that gave tremendously articulate presentations. Thank God I wasn't here for that. 'Cause I would not want to follow. But I think the downtown Campbell rep was also on the Zoom call and we couldn't speak. So just to let you know that we're definitely interested, and thank you. And really thank you for your service. So definitely appreciate that.
For sure. Thank you so much for speaking.
Thank you.
Is it possible for the folks in the Zoom to speak?
Yeah,
as well?
I do think that you at least have one member of the public. I think you have Ms. Keytriber on the Zoom call that wants to speak, and I think she's unmuted.
Yes, hi, thank you. I wasn't sure what the procedure was for that. So I wanted to, I'm president of the San Tomas Area Community Coalition. I wanted to once again thank you for this opportunity. It means quite a bit. And last year in particular, we had our block party for the first time since the COVID shutdown, and it was just amazing. The neighborhood was so pleased. And we had such a wonderful time. So thank you very much. Without these funds, it would be much more difficult. Do you want to see a presentation or anything, or
whatever you'd like to share is great. That was already very nice, but
I'll show some pictures because it was really a fun time. So let's see. Let me open up the file. Sorry, this is going to just take me 1 second. I wasn't sure what the process was here. So let me open up the document. I did send them to Diane as well to give you.
Yeah, I don't think participants are able to share screens.
it sounds like we actually don't have it activated for participants to share screens. So
I
don't
sent it
actually.
to Diane. If she wants to bring it up, she can. I don't know if she has her email there. I'm afraid
Maybe you could email it to her and she could distribute it to us
that'd
via
be
email
great.
so we can take a look at
Yep.
those.
Yep, I just wanted you to know that the firemen came, the police came. The firemen were a little naughty because it had been so long since they'd had public contact. They went ahead and did a giant fire hose water spray. I know we have a drought, but I've got to tell you, it was amazing. We had a water slide and a jump house this last year. And every year we have a raffle that helps to pay for the event. And so we had neighbors who made things and donated things, and Aldo's restaurant always donates a gift card and such. So it was a wonderful event, and I wanted to thank you again for that.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
And then Chair Davis, Davis Fields, I think we have Ann Souza also on the line. Ann, do you want to unmute and speak?
Sure. Thank you so much. I wish I could be there in person. Used to be on the commission. I miss everybody there. I'm the president of the Campbell Village Neighborhood Association, and we're really excited with all the events that we're going to be doing. Last year we did have a meeting where we were able to have someone represent the police department come and talk to our neighborhood, which we really appreciated, and just rental space for that or for food for our neighborhood. We are doing a cleanup this Sunday. We've sponsored a freeway cleanup our neighborhood, so I'm really excited. I wasn't able to put that in the stuff to you, but that's something that we're doing on this Sunday. And we've just been really trying to get our neighbors a little bit more active and knowing what's going on, and trying to get them together a lot more often and just doing stuff in our neighborhood. So having a website, being able to post the events on that, it's been really helpful. And we always really appreciate the grants that the commission is able to give us. Otherwise, we wouldn't really be able to do a lot of the things we do.
That's so nice of you to say. Thank you, Ann. Would anyone else, either on the line or in the room, like to share any comment?
I think that's everyone online.
Great. Well, then I think I will move us to consider approving of the fiscal year 22 Neighborhood Association grants, which I think we have a little page we could look at that summarizes these. Exhibit A. Given the great words we've heard in our study session, and everything else, do we have a motion to approve our fiscal year 22 grant applications?
I will move to approve the neighborhood assistance grant applications for the year 21-22.
Second. Great.
In the motion, can you note for $500 for each of the neighborhood associations that were listed? So that where it's clarified that each will be getting $500 and who it will go to?
Yes. So the motion includes $500 grant approval for Campbell Village, $500 for Downtown Campbell Neighborhood Association, $500 for Hayman Park, $500 for Moreland West, and $500 for STACC.
Thank you. Commissioner Naylor?
Aye.
Commissioner Malcolm?
Aye.
Vice Chair Brocker?
Aye.
Commissioner Dooley? Commissioner Yoshikawa? Commissioner Kaufman?
Aye.
Chairperson Fields?
Aye. The motion is approved. Very exciting. Looking forward to hearing all the great stuff that comes from this in the next year when we get to talk about this again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Have a good night. We will move on to the continuation of our fiscal year 22-23 budget requests. The first up I see, I think last time we asked about the history of the social service sub-grant funding because there was a question about whether I think the 55,000 had changed or evolved over time. So I assume that one's here because we got some more data or information. Is that right?
Correct. In your packet.
Oh, I see it. The second to last page. Yeah.
Memo, you can see by year. So. Sorry, turn my microphone on. 50,000, 2016, and went up to 60,000 in 2017 and 18. Went back down to 55,000 in 2019 and it's been at that level since. So
got it.
That was the question of, when was it cut? It actually was increased from 50 to 60 and then went back down to 55.
Okay. Thank you for pulling this. This is very helpful. I think maybe we can treat this separate from the discussion on the specific ask for Explore Art, given this is an existing budget amount, but I guess this is a question for city staff. Given that I think in our time, we tend to get asked, in this case, unlike the neighborhood assistance grants, we've been asked for more than the 55,000. Would it be possible, or what is the best way in which to inquire about some sort of like inflation-based and merit-based request to like get that up to like 75 probably would line up better, I think, with the requests that we've been getting and just cost of living going up. Is that something that?
Well, in the context, just give you the context of where we are financial as I talk about budget and everything budget these days. So what we presented to the council is still a deficit budget. We're still looking at about $700,000 to $800,000 of deficit. That's down from the 1.3 million that we were looking at even 3 weeks ago with the council, because staff has been working hard to reduce that. So the input we've received from the council is concern about any permanent long-term costs being funded right now because those deficits are being funded either by our reserves or by federal ARPA funds. And so I'm mindful of that. But the one thing that I do hear from the council is if there's special things that need funding, one-time things, they're more than happy to consider those right now until things stabilize. I think it's difficult to expect an overall budget increase without, thought of future budgets. If there's a one-time request, and there's some special requests, I think that's going to be more successful right now. And that's what our staff is hearing from the council. And so we're bringing to them projects, things, programs that they've supported. Certainly you've talked about lots of projects and things, and I think that's what that 55,000 goes to support. So, if there's some discussion of this is what you're going to get from some extra value, or this is what you're going to stand a better chance with the council.
Got it. That's very helpful. Does anyone else have any questions or thoughts on that? With that in mind, I think it's unfortunate knowing that we tend to ask for more, but hearing that context, I don't know if that's the battle to pick in this particular meeting.
I think if there's some special ideas, and I don't want to be Debbie Downer here, because what we do find is there's areas that do touch our community that council is interested at. We're, perhaps looking at accelerating capital projects that were important, pedestrian or bicycle improvements that were important. Council's already authorized us to use ARPA funds for community-wide access to Wi-Fi at our community center. Throughout that whole campus, things like that serve the community, that they feel good about spending that money on. That's not an ongoing operation expense. So certainly that area, they're open to that stuff, and I know that's exactly what you work on. But I'd want to be really articulate what that is when we come to them with that request.
Commissioner Coffin, you look like you're going to say something.
My viewpoint is that given the budget deficits that we're still dealing with, that although reduced seem significant, it doesn't seem as though it's prudent to ask for more money at this point than the $55,000 budgeted amount.
I think you read that correctly.
Right.
Even if we were breaking even.
Well, but I do think there's support, and I know Chairperson Fields and I met with the mayor and we talked about special projects. I know there's support for projects. I know there's support for what this commission does. It's that concern for taking one-time money that we may have or reserves and spending it on something that may be an ongoing expense.
Yeah, understood.
Okay, so that covers the social service sub-grant. The other one we were going to do that we talked about in the March meeting is making, I think this lines up pretty nicely, making a one-off request to sort of accelerate our ability to start on the Explore Art projects. And so in the March meeting, and it's in the meeting notes, we discussed making that ask because we started some private fundraising, and I heard from Commissioner Yoshikawa just now that we've gotten something on the line of like $300 for this year's Capture Campbell, which again is great, but not close to the amount that we need. And as we've talked about, it's hard to get this going, and I'd love to replace those. I mean, those are lovely photos. We can move them and keep them, but also add a 2022 set of photos up there from the kids that have already submitted for the photo contest. So with that in mind, what we talked about last time was writing up sort of an ask to go to city council. I think it lines up very nicely with what we said here and the conversation I had with the mayor, which is this is not an ongoing expense. This is sort of a one-off, prime the pump, help get us going. Then we can build buzz and talk about this. And this might be the way to build fundraising as we get some of these murals or park benches or anything else out. So I wrote that up based on our conversation last time. I think at this time we should just look at that. It's on the very last page. If people have any comments, ideas, feedback that we'd want to adjust that at all before it goes to council, I'll open up for any discussion on that.
I think it looks great. It was a good idea. I mean, we may not want to specify the range potentially of 25 to 50,000. I don't know if that would cause some hesitancy, but I don't feel strongly either way. I'm comfortable with keeping that in there.
Yeah, and I agree with, I think asking a little higher, kind of, hopefully, even if they could, shrink that number down, then we get something. So that's my attitude towards it.
So if you were to change it, you would like remove the suggestion or actually just call it 50, or how would you?
maybe shift the lower limit up a little bit. If we ask for a narrower range, but at the upper end, it's like, okay, that's a lot, but what if,
Mhm.
if they offer less? I mean, I don't mean to sound so mercenary.
No,
Like
no.
I'm negotiating with the council, but
Yeah.
I'm just trying to apply some psychology to it.
Sounds like either change it, the two ideas are remove it entirely and be pleasantly or unpleasantly surprised, or change it to something like 40 to 50. Do other commissioners have takes one way or the other?
I don't think I would remove it.
Only because you may get $500.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're being realistic, I don't think I would remove it, but it is a bit of a wide range. But even if we got 25, it'd be totally fine.
I tried to make the bottom still
Yeah,
a very acceptable,
But
get us
If
going.
they say, okay, we'll give you 10 because you asked for 25, would that actually do us any good, or would it just be, Band-Aid? So maybe raising the bottom up a little wouldn't be such a bad idea. Just because then if they go down to 20, well, then we're still winning, right?
Yeah.
And they feel like they're winning because we asked for 40.
Right.
I mean, it's the art of war, right?
Yeah.
Well, Brian, reading the pulse of the council, what would you suggest in terms of?
I think the request is fair. I really don't have a read on how much support and what that dollar amount would be. I know the mayor support, we talked with Chair Fields and the mayor, this concept, it's a one-time thing. So I think there's support for it. I really, it's one or the other. I don't know that's make a significant difference one way or the other between $25,000 and $30,000. I will say that, that they probably will look at doing something less than the maximum amount. They'll look at, what's the minimum amount that we can do to get it going if they do something, just because that's kind of been their mindset on everything right now. So if your comment is less than 25 really doesn't help you, then maybe that request needs to be a little bit higher. I don't think that they just say, oh, 25 to 50, we'll give you 50. I just don't think that's probably in the cards.
Not gonna win.
So it seems like we gravitated towards something like saying 40 to 50. Does that sound good to folks? Any other anything else we'd like to change in there outside of that?
Either that, I mean, I guess we could say something along the lines of a minimum of is required. But I don't know if you've determined what that number is or not.
It was a little bit of like, depending on what we got, we could make do, but doing a decent sized mural has gotten to be a lot. I mean, that's,
Yeah.
you're in the tens already. So I felt,
Should somebody go along to present?
is that a choice? Can someone present this? Or is this at a?
Well, you can always speak on any item on the agenda. You'll get 2 minutes like everyone else from the public to present.
Okay.
I'll take your letter and I'll present it. I'm sure, if there's questions, we'll contact you, but no, you're welcome to come and present
Okay.
when we get to the
Sure.
budget item. We'll be talking about the slew of budget things.
Oh, sure.
So you'll have to sit through that, but there will be opportunity for public comment to support.
Okay. Well, in the interest of driving us somewhere, why don't we, Diana, if we could just amend that to say 40 to 50? And do we need to approve this in some way? Like, what's the procedural thing?
No,
we
I
should do?
think if that's a consensus of the group, we don't need formal action on that.
Okay.
But if I just look at the group and everyone's nodding that they support the letter, then we're okay.
Great.
So we'll note consensus to support the letter in the minutes.
Perfect. Thank you, everybody. We will move on to good of the game. I know Commissioner Bracker's got something, but does anyone else?
No, I just want to mention that I was one of the judges in the most recent art contest that the library did. And I don't know the results of the judging yet, but there was some, there was adult and kid under 18 submissions, and I was thoroughly impressed. I don't have a huge art background, but I've done my fair share of like graphic design and been influenced by some fairly decent artists. And yeah, there's some real talent out there in the community. So at all ages, actually. So I think we're going to have, I think there's going to be some interesting pieces that come out of it. I actually made the comment that with some of the pieces, even if they don't win, the overall contest, there were several pieces that I thought would be of interest possibly to us for use in either different projects. In fact, there was one in particular that actually stuck out. It was a drawing, a hand-done drawing or colored pencil drawing of the theater with the reflection pond. And I was like, oh, wow, gosh, we're so desperate for new artwork for the theater. Because we haven't had any in a new time. For a long time, we've used the same photograph of the front of the theater on everything forever. So I was like, yes, please talk to the people and see about getting the rights to use that. Anyway, that I enjoyed doing that, and I hope to do it in the future again. And there was some good stuff that came out of it. So
Thank you.
I was going to mention that I was able to sit in on a presentation from some Cal Poly San Luis Obispo students that were involved in a public planning course, I suppose, that had a phenomenal vision and plan for downtown Campbell that they call Campbell Corridor. And I'm happy to share their presentation. They had a PowerPoint. It lasted about an hour. Rob Eastwood attended as well. And I was thoroughly impressed with not just their vision, but their planning. And I think it was very exciting to see students particularly interested in downtown Campbell and what our city could be, stretching from Westminster all the way to the Prune Yard. So I'm happy to share that at the next meeting, because I think it correlates with some of the projects that we're trying to do in the public art realm and otherwise sidewalk art, that type of thing. So there is a vision out there.
Wow.
Yeah, it was part of the course, is my understanding. The professor was spearheading the effort, and they gave a presentation to the Public Works Division of the City of Campbell. And I don't know how it originated, but I was happy to hear that somebody was interested in developing downtown Campbell and had some great ideas, really great ideas that I think are in line with a lot of what we're trying to accomplish here.
Any more good of the game? Great. I will move us on to the subcommittee reports. Up first, we have Campbell Cares, and exciting to hear. I think we got a packet in here and everything.
Yeah, it's got a copy of the draft. Made some effort to try and get the subcommittee together. But we're getting closer to actually having the full subcommittee meet and discuss it. But one thought I had, and I've got a question to pose to Brian tonight, is we've got the draft, and we're starting to kind of edit it some and get input from the commission. And thank you to everybody that's inputted. I appreciate that. But the question I was going to pose to Brian is at what point should we engage the review of the city attorney, Bill Seligman, and see, number one, is even what we're proposing feasible, doable, permissible within the limitations of the city and the charter or whatever the case might be. And if that's the case, if assuming we can move, we get the green light to move forward, does he want to weigh in on anything? Because it occurred to me, even though I'm using as examples or trying to pattern it after similar groups in town for example, Friends of the Heritage Theater or Friends of the Museum, it's not identical. It's not an apples to apples comparison. So I'm like, before we get too far in, we should probably, get the input of the powers that be, or I mean, at the very least, so that's the question I'm posing to Brian. So.
Yeah, I would be happy to, I know you have your basic write-up that you've done, talk about framework. I'm mindful of trying to tie the city attorney up too much in the details until we kind of get to those details.
Of course.
I think part of my role will be to work with you and the subcommittee as we develop this to sort of distill out of that where I believe that we need to get some legal advice from the city attorney and use that wisely.
Sure.
And I'm certainly committed to do that and we'll continue to do that. But it wouldn't hurt to talk to him about the framework and about the concerns I've raised or things in my head where I think those checkpoints are and bounce that off him, make sure that at least that I have my radars on and tuned correctly.
Yeah.
And if he sees other touch points or issues that we need to navigate, I'd be glad to ask him that early. So I do have your write-up. I'm not sure if you want to amend that or change that at all. If not, then I will use that. But I'll leave that to you of where you are with the presentation tonight, if there's other direction from the commission on that.
Yeah,
presentation.
the only changes would be additional input tonight that I would incorporate that, and then I could send you the was it version 1.2. But I think just the basic framework is there in terms of our intention. And or kind of broad purpose.
I think it's fine. I think I have an
Yeah. And thank you in advance for that, by the way. And thank you to Bill for any of his time, extremely valuable time. So I can completely appreciate, not wanting to fully engage his whole, full attention on it just yet until it's really needed. So yeah, thank you.
Any questions from the other commissioners? Cool. Sounds like next step is that. Do you have anything else in parallel you want to do outside of getting that input, or is this sort of a dependency before?
Well, I mean, kind of the next thing. Well, back at the March meeting, what we discussed was kind of looking into then converting the draft into an implementation plan. And as I started to kind of contemplate that, that's where it occurred to me. It's like, before we get too far in, it might be good just to run this by Brian and Bill. So to make sure we're not going down any roads that we should.
I'll have that discussion between now and your next meeting. So on your next agenda with updates, so we'll certainly coordinate in advance of that.
I would like to sort of just pose a question to determine if this is sort of solo mission of the Campbell Cares subcommittee now, or is it going to be, because being on this subcommittee for a few years, unfortunately, right after I got on it, we went into COVID, but I did some research on what happened beforehand, and there were several projects, obviously, that could happen over the course of time. The way I kind of see this is this sort of taking all of the attention of the subcommittee, but then possibly down the road, having other ancillary things happen as well. But this sort of be the solo mission focus at this point, because this is a big undertaking, bigger than anything that's ever really been under the Campbell Cares subcommittee. This kind of could take on a life of its own, and at some point could maybe even be its own total subcommittee, So I think, and there's obviously a lot of legal stuff in here that's going to have to be worked out as far as bylaws and different things, because it is a much bigger, there's involving other people, possibly young people. There's so many other things that have to be determined. But I think the main focus should be, at least in thinking about it, is this what Campbell Cares wants to focus on, this Campbell Refresh project, being the sole focus, the mission of the Campbell Cares Subcommittee, because it's going to take a lot of time to put this together. So I think it would have to be the sole focus, at least for now. But I don't want to just solely make that determination. I think that needs to be group consensus here, but it does, like I said, it's bigger than anything that the subcommittee has done, as far as I can tell.
Mhm.
And I think it will take a lot more than, maybe even more than the 3 people that we have on right now. It
Sure.
might take more than that. So
I have thoughts, but want to make sure anyone else. I think my thought is I'm good with it being the solo mission for a while. I think my main learning, having been on this, is like this stuff takes time and work and intentionality, and I think in general for us, like, narrow the focus, get stuff going, and you can always do more later. But no, I'm good with that.
I mean, that's the way I see it, kind of how it would be right now. Just want to make sure that, because it's not been the way that it's been in the subcommittee in the past. It's been a few ideas at a time.
Yeah.
I think, you know.
I think one thing I learned when Commissioner Kaufman and I met with Carol Hoffman. One thing, she was talking about the Art Outside the Box project, and I was like, how the heck did you all like do all those? And she said, I'm facing the guy's name. I was in Europe for 2 weeks. Everything's a blur now. But do you remember?
She said a lot of things, but
the name of the guy that, yeah, she was like, Alan, man, he was the guy. I was like, well, how did that work? I was like, oh, he was retired. Like, he just made this his, right. Like, this guy just that made it his calling.
Yeah.
And I'm not retired. I work like,
Just about there, actually.
well, now we know who to delegate things to.
that's right.
Actually, Alan was who I discussed the very initial stages of this.
There you go. Yeah.
But my first time.
There you go. But to answer the initial question, like, I think that's good. I think narrow focus and get stuff going is great.
and especially with COVID hopefully coming to an end, now is a good time to narrow that focus. And as we all know, trying to get some of these programs off the ground take time, take a lot of effort, take a lot of sweat equity, and essentially just pound the pavement type efforts other than just talking about it, which those efforts have obviously been hampered. So something as big as that project is going to take at least 3 subcommittee members very committed and focused on it. So I think that's probably the right approach.
And is there because there will at some point, we're going to have bylaws and whatnot. I didn't see it specified in here. I'm sure we could pull something out, but there will probably have to be a mission statement as well, I'm assuming.
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Because when you do a bylaws, you
That's
need
the tagline on the front page. is
Right.
Kind of the first.
to build
stab
off
at that.
of, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
just to kind of, that's more than one sentence elevator pitch.
Right.
But yeah, I agree wholeheartedly that yes, a mission statement at some point. Yeah, to kind of really tie it all together. Yes,
Very good. Just things to think about.
thank you.
Well, and I would think that at some point after the mission statement is crafted, that whether bylaws are needed or any sort of guidelines or ordinances that need to be adhered to, that would be, I'm sure, a question for city council when you're ready, rather than write in bylaws that we don't need or make sure that we're not reinventing the wheel there.
Great. Thank you for the Campbell Cares report. Next up, Capture Campbell. I don't know, you were able to meet while we were out. Would you like to give a report?
Yeah, I'm happy to share. Marianne and I met on the phone and just chatted. She did say we have 2 confirmed judges that are returning. Like David said, we have about $300 in donors, so that's something we still need to work on. I've been sending out a letter Davis created, but you don't get a lot of feedback back on it. So need to keep pounding the pavement with that. And then we sent it out to school districts, and then Diana gave me her contacts for Campbell Unify, but I'm a parent in that district and I still haven't seen it pushed out. So I don't know if you have any other suggestions. They said they would, like how to get the word spread with the youth. Like if you have any ideas with that. Right.
Yeah, we have an education subcommittee. We meet, but only every 2 months with them.
Okay.
And we could certainly include that in our update and outreach next time we
Okay.
meet with them. And I'm not sure what that timing is, if that's good, but
We have
certainly
like 6 or
it's
8
better
more
than
weeks
never.
and- Yeah, yeah.
So,
It's just they say they'll send it out and I haven't seen it.
yeah.
One school district did send it out. I saw that, but because that's where.
What
we
district
used
are
it.
you in?
I'm in Moreland.
Okay.
But we
All right.
don't have a huge Campbell. We're
Yeah.
kind of Campbell,
Yeah.
San Jose, Saratoga. So we sent it out, but Campbell, and then I sent it to like the photography teachers at our local high schools to see if they would advertise it, but
Did we do the city social media?
we did not.
Can we do that?
Who do I send that to? Oh, okay. I can send you the information. You can- Awesome.
Yeah, the Facebook page gets a fair amount of attention.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering, what if you contacted like any of the PTAs and had them push it out? Would they be willing to do an email blast?
So like, I know in the specific district I'm in the Home and School Club, like they can push it out, but it has to go through the district office before it gets pushed out through to everyone, like in the parent communication. So yeah, we'll keep trying. Yeah.
Can we share, can we do that through you? Is there an email or?
Okay.
Okay.
They're just wrapping up for the year, but I think they're having.
Great.
Okay, because I think we had a handful of submissions, but obviously we want more than that.
Great. And I think we're going to try and meet in the next week or so as a subcommittee too. So great. Okay. And last but not least, the Explore Art Project. We already discussed that a fair bit up above. I don't have any specific, I guess my only question on that is, when is that hearing? Or budget discussion that we were just referencing, like when is that? Tuesday. Okay, great. But otherwise I think go to that, and otherwise we had a really good list of topic ideas last time of potential projects. So I think the next step is to see whether we're able to fund these and sort of change the pace at which we might attack some of these projects. So does anyone have any questions or? Yeah.
I don't know if it got mentioned at all, but when Brian, you had talked about March, I guess March, that the Parklet, program was going to continue. So I just I made the comment that I thought it'd be neat if we could maybe work on artwork to go on some of those barriers. Did council find out about, or do they know about that, and are they interested, or?
We're hiring an architect to do some design options for us, at least.
Oh, okay.
Coming up with 3 design options, so I'm not sure what those look like.
Oh, so artwork may or may not be an option.
Depends on the design of the.
Got it.
3 options are provided. Once we have that, then we'll be done.
Okay, so that's way premature. Okay.
You're making it more permanent, correct? Right.
Great. Well, I think we have our next steps on all of the subcommittees. And that is the conclusion of all of our other business for the night. So at 8:30 PM, I officially adjourn this meeting of Campbell Civic Improvement Commission. Beautiful.
Oh. Bye, everyone.